Jay here from Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm not in the studio. I'm in my kitchen, but that doesn't stop you from getting involved in the chat and the comments and subscribing to the channel. We want to get to 700,000 subscribers by the end of the week. We're almost there. Come on. Do you know what? By the end of this video, we should have reached 700,000 subscribers. And a big thank you to all our subscribers, to everyone that's watched the channel and supported us since the full-time Devil days, but even more so since we became Stretford Paddock and we took over the channel. We do appreciate the support and the love we have received. Right, let's get straight into it. There's a few stories doing around. The main one, obviously, is Mason Mount. There's also a little bit of movement, it would seem, on Andre Onana. Plus, we've got a Sheikh Jassim edging forward update that may have come from a pretty reliable source. So we'll get into all that. Let's start with the Mason Mount story, because this is the one that everyone's talking about. This is the one that was doing the rounds last night on social media. Manchester United went in with another bid yesterday, and yesterday it was rejected. David Ornstein did a tweet yesterday evening, well, it's pretty late last night. It said, Chelsea reject third Man United bid for Mason Mount, 50 million plus 5 million in add-ons. Chelsea make counter proposal of 58 million plus 7 million and offer to meet United to find amicable solution. There's hope of quick resolution so 24-year-old doesn't miss preseason and start of new campaign. So it looks like Chelsea do want to do a deal, just not for the price that Manchester United want to do one for. United, obviously, in for Mason Mount, 3 bids. We were hearing that the third bid would be the final one, but it doesn't seem like the door is closed. It looks like there could be some sort of compromise, some sort of movement there. Now, I want to know what you guys think. Let us know. Get involved in the comments and let me know what you think about this Mason Mount deal, because I'll be honest, I wasn't mad keen on Manchester United buying Mason Mount. I think he's a decent player. Wouldn't have been top of my list, but I adhere to the idea that if the manager wants a player, we should back him and get him that player, and I get it. Mason Mount does have a decent ceiling. I know he was going on about ceilings, but this is a Champions League winner. This is a player who is quite productive and has had some very good seasons for Chelsea, although the last season wasn't his best one. In practice, it's probably his worst. So I understand why the manager would want him. Plus, we need options. But he's got 1 year left on his contract. Now, paying 50 million quid for a Champions League winner who's 24 years old, an England international, who's Premier League proven, it makes sense. Paying 65 million quid for that player who's only got a year left on his contract, who it's not even guaranteed starts for Manchester United if everyone's fit. I know we need a squad and we need options, but he might start, he might not. I think it's excessive, especially, this is the issue I have, when you've got a limited budget. All we keep hearing about Manchester United is that Erik ten Hag has a limited budget to work with. He doesn't have hundreds of millions of pounds this summer to spend. He's got to buy a striker. We need a striker, yeah? There's no argument about that. We definitely need a striker. We cannot continue just relying on Marcus to play down the middle or relying on Anthony Martial to stay fit. It's just not going to work. We also need a goalkeeper. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but David De Gea has still not signed a new deal. Even if he does, it seems that the manager doesn't fancy him as his number one anymore. And we know that David De Gea has issues playing out the back, and this is how Erik ten Hag wants to play. So if you need a goalkeeper and you need a striker and you've got a limited budget, you can't go overspending on Mason Mount. You just can't do it. And plus, Chelsea, I think they're taking a mick. I do. This is a club that have just gone on this massive spending spree. They've wasted so much money last summer and last January. And they bought some dross as well. Players like Mudryk. If you see Mudryk, he's one of the worst players I've seen play for Chelsea. And I think they spent about 80 million quid on him. And now they're asking us. They're acting like, oh, well, we're all concerned about our money. We're not going to let players go on the cheap, whatever. 55 million for someone who's out of contract in the summer is a good deal, in my opinion. Anyway, you may disagree. Asking for 65, I think that pushes it past being a good deal to being one where you should walk away. I don't think Manchester United should pay 65 million quid for Mason Mount. It'd only be worth it if he either had a few years left on his contract or United had almost limitless money. And we haven't, because of the Glazers and because of their ineptitude at even selling the club in a quick time like they should have done. We should have had a new owner. We should have had a better transfer budget. They've just left us in the lurch as they always do. So for me, I think personally, Manchester United should say thanks, but no thanks. Listen, if the manager wants to send Mason Mount, I understand that, but you can't overspend on him. You really can't. Get involved anyway and let us know what you think. Now, this is a bit of a weird one because also in The Guardian it says about the Mason Mount deal. It goes on to say it's believed Chelsea will accept 58 million plus 7 million add-ons in order to get the deal done. That may well suit United, who've been pursuing Mount for some time. and have already agreed personal terms with the England international. They also know soon if a deal can be done, and if not, they will move on to other targets who include Brighton's Moises Caicedo. So Caicedo is a sort of plan B, which is bizarre because for a lot of people, you think he might be plan A for Manchester United. Well, no, it seems like Caicedo is plan B if we don't get Mason Mount. So it'll be interesting to see how that one pans out. Are we going to go for Caicedo if we don't get Mount? Are we going to get Mount? Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know what you think. Would you rather us went for Caicedo off the back? Because I think he's a bit of a more popular player amongst Manchester United fans. He certainly has a good game when he plays against Manchester United. He's always been good for Brighton against us. Or do you think he could be another player that sort of flatters to deceive once he leaves Brighton? We've seen it with a couple of their players, haven't we? Like Cucurella and Basuma as well. But you can't tar him over the same brush, can you? Not every player that leaves Brighton is going to be a duffer, and he does seem like a very talented young midfielder. Should we move on? Should we talk about Onana? Manchester United target Andre Onana changes agent. This is in the Mail. As the Inter Milan goalkeeper looks to secure a £45 million summer switch to Old Trafford. Manchester United have stepped up their pursuit of goalkeeper Andre Onana. A new representative will take over negotiations ahead of a potential £45 million move. So it looks like something could be happening there. It says here the Serie A side's 45 million asking price could delay any move though, as United wait for their takeover to be completed. So that's the fly in the ointment. Are we waiting for this takeover? If we're waiting for the takeover to be completed, we ain't going to game. It's that simple. The takeover will not be completed, in my opinion, anyway, before the transfer window closes. I just don't see that happening. I think the only way you're going to sort of get any movement there in terms of budget and stuff is if agreement is in place for a new owner and that you can say, okay, let's release some funds or whatever you need to do with a view that the new owner will be in place and he can sort of replenish those funds or whatever. I don't think you're going to have a new owner in place anytime soon because it takes a long process, even once an agreement is reached. And plus, the next stage in the negotiations might be a preferred bidder, and then that bidder has to negotiate with the Glazers. So I'm not holding my breath that we're going to be seeing new owners anytime soon, although obviously we do want to see it because we're all sick and tired on the Glazers. It also says here, a final decision could also hinge on the future of David De Gea, which remains uncertain with his current contract expiring next week. Just a mess, isn't it? Just how you can go into this sort of the end of June and still not know who your goalkeeper is going to be next season. I feel for Erik ten Hag. I really do. I think he's been sold a duffer by Manchester United. It's an absolute shambles. Get involved in the comments in the chat. Do you want Andre Onana? We've been linked with the Portuguese lad as well. Is it Diogo Costa? Do you think he's the answer? Do you think David De Gea is the answer? Let us know. There's a story here. I just want to talk about the takeover quickly as well. There's a story here. I think the Manchester News have got it. I saw their headline, and it said on their headline, Sheikh Jassim edges ahead in Man United race. And I thought, oh, where have they got that from? And they've got it from Reuters reporter Anaban Sen. And where did they get that from? From Stretford Paddock, of course. Joe Smith sat down with Anaban, who broke the story for Reuters last week about the Glazers, the Sheikh Jassim and the Qataris negotiating for an exclusivity with the Glazers. They were edging towards that sort of deal. We spoke to him, and it's been picked up everywhere else. The MEN have picked it up. They've actually said, Sen, as quoted by Stretty News, told Stretford Paddock. So they've gone through Stretty News for that quote, but it's all good. Says Sheikh Jassim's bid is still viewed slightly more favourable by the Glazers at this point. That's what our sources have told us. This is what Anaban told Joe Smith. And I think the big question is whether they finally manage to get the deal over the finish line over the next few weeks or maybe months. And he goes on to talk about uncertainty. Go and check that interview out anyway. You don't need to go and watch it on or look at quotes from other websites. You can check it out on Stretford Paddock. Joe Smith sitting down with Anaban Sen from Reuters to try and get the latest update and find out just what was behind that exclusivity story. It's a really good interview and worth a few minutes, 20 odd minutes, whatever it is of your time. Listen, I'm going to wrap it up there. Don't forget, like I said, to hit subscribe. Let's get to 700,000 subscribers if we haven't done already. McCall will be here tomorrow with Gazette. We've also got Stephen Howson with Transfer Review later on today. I know everyone loves that. So he'll be back outside Old Trafford later on today. We've got loads of videos coming up. So make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. I've been Jay Moy. This has been The Paper Talk from a pretty cloudy but warm Salford. Thanks for watching.